I guess who got his green screen working? This works now, to a degree. I have to take extra liberties for it to work, but hey, I got it working. However, I'm very lazy. It was 3-4 months ago since I uploaded, Shadow of Mordor. From the time of recording this, however long it's going to take me to edit this, don't know. It's probably going to be pain. Who knows but me. With this and now actually knowing how to set all this up and not be lazy about it and hopefully have more perseverance and motivation, I can actually start doing this and not, be lazy. So, God, Shadow of War, I love it. Thank you. Shadow of War takes place in the same area as the first game, Mordor. However, this time it is in 5 main areas: Minas Ithil / Morgul, Nurnen, Saragoth, Gorgroth, and Cirith Ungol. But in all honesty, you just recognize these places as Lava Place, Forest Place, Cave Place, Ice Place, etc. They do it well. However, the only important places are generally Nurnen, Minas Ithil, and Barad-dûr. That would be for the story, and the main 5 areas are generally where you capture Sauron's fortresses and build your army up. That being said, these places in and of themselves show how vast Mordor is. Technically, Minas Ithil is a part of Gondor, but once it gets taken over, it's Minas Morgul being a part of Mordor now at that point. And all of these places do their gimmick well. Gorgoroth being Lava Place, it do lava well. You go into Lava Place, you find lava everywhere. You go into Lava Cave, you go to Ice Place, there's Ice Cave, there's ice lakes that you can walk over, there's icicles. They just do it well. I'm not pretentious. I'm not going to explain why this rock in this place makes the whole environment feel more alive or vast. They did it well. They made the place look like what it should be. Nurnen, on the other hand, is kind of where that would be applicable, because Nurnen shows how that a vast forest can grow in the middle of the hellscape that is Mordor, whilst Gorgoroth is basically a hellscape in Mordor. Now that I have said that, the game does not look as good as its predecessor. But it isn't bad, it's still a good looking game, and I understand why it looks worse. They had to add a bunch more. There are now 5 areas instead of 2. They have now fortresses that you can take over. There's a lot more loaded at one time, and it's with the addition of Ologs and Drakes. However, the Uruks and Ologs and all of them still look good. They're still ferocious and savage. Even the Nazgul, which have been introduced into this game, they look amazing. It's not like it looks bad at all. But the only time that you really notice it is if you take a look between Talion's model in the first game and in this game. However, Celebrimbor does look a lot better and not terrifying. It's the same, I guess? Kind of. Now, there is a main disparity that I'll get into, but the overall feel between the 2 games is practically the same. You control Talion with left stick, you parry with Y, you use a sword to increase might to do more powerful abilities, you use the stealth button for stealth, and the bow button for bow with an added glaive, but that is just a heavy attack that has 2 upgrades. Lastly, the one-shot abilities each weapon in Shadow of Mordor had is transferred into Wrath, which is a meter that you fill to use Elven Rage to cause high damage to captains and spam a bow for grunt kills. Speaking of those enemies, the grunt enemies are still the same except for 2 new additions, Drakes and Ologs. I consider them grunts because Ologs and Drakes are not captains and war chiefs. However, Ologs are a welcome addition, breaking up the combat to focus on the big guy. Then again, you can cheese them pretty easily a lot, if not all the time when you encounter them. Drakes, on the other hand, are pretty much the same as Graugs and Caragors by the fact that you shoot them until you can mount them. Other than that, it's basically a flying elemental Graug. Moving away from grunt enemies, this time around, weapons, armor, and runes are interchangeable. All of them do different things when you acquire one, or is just better and augmentable with gems of life, wealth, and warrior, allowing you to make builds in any which way that you want, if the captain and war chief actually drops a good item. Because, oh boy, can't it get annoying at points, especially for farming when you want a good sword, or a good passive on a sword, or a good passive on armor. It's all RNG, and it's not fun, at points, because it really depends on who you are and how much time you are willing to sink into it. Because there's RNG on top of RNG. RNG of if the captain or war chief is going to be epic or legendary, if the passive of one of the 6 equipment items that it can drop will be good, and if the upgrade will be decent enough that you will actually go into it if it's legendary. There are a multitude of factors depending on if you would actually want to start farming them, or if you're fine with the weapons and armor that you have, which is okay because you can generally just play without noticing the passives unless you want to make a build. Builds coincide with the abilities in the ability tree with the passives that you get on your weapons, armor, rune, etc. For example, if you get poison arrows and you get the poison slam and you get poison crit hits, you're going to want weapons and armor that have passives that will say either A, your crit hit chance increases when an enemy has poison on them, or your poison deals more damage, or anything poison in general. And this applies to majority, if not all of the things in this game, such as just normal attacks, or killing a captain gives you health, fire attacks, cursed enemies, enemies that have curse on them, etc. It's great that the weapon passives in the ability tree actually coincide with each other and help each other out if you want to make a build. However, the RNG to actually get something that you would want specifically is quite heavy and takes a lot of time to actually get to it, depending on if you can kill the captains or war chiefs or not. Then it devolves down to, did it drop the correct piece of equipment that you needed? Is the passive on that equipment good? Did it come from the same tribe or a different tribe to get another passive of legendary gear on top of that? Personally, this leads me to wanting to have an all-around build so that everything I do matters instead of just focusing on one thing. My executions would heal me, some of my stealth attacks would give me my arrows or my hammers back, and all around my sword attacks would either apply something or it would just do more crit hits. All-around builds are, to me, pretty much either better, if not, you can actually acquire them easier, because there's even aspects of armor that doesn't give you passives towards flame or poison or curse, and it just says, hey, you do more damage on a beast, or hey, you just get more health on kill, or hey, you get more arrows. In general, there's more of an all-around that you would kind of want instead of just focusing on a build depending on how much time you're going to play the game. A majority of your build will mostly focus on fighting captains and war chiefs. However, a lot of the abilities also focus on attacking grunts and all those other types of enemies. The ability tree in this game is quite different from the first one. In the first one, you're able to get every single ability and you use it whenever you want it. However, in here, all you get is the main ability, then you get one upgrade to it, and it repeats throughout the entire line. I like the ability tree. It allows you to make what you want to make, what you want to use, and how you want to use it. However, I do have one small thing that I hate about open world games that the game starts you out on. So the game starts you out by making you get Elven Swiftness first, which is whenever you vault over something you can get a speed boost, or you can click down on whatever you're using to get a speed boost. That just tells me that there's nothing that I need to go out and find in this open world. And this is a problem for open world genre games that isn't, Fallout New Vegas. Including that there are hideer in this game, which are the fast travel points, so that when you purify them, it shows you where all the collectibles are, and when you open your map, the exact location that they're in. That small thing aside, this game allows you to do pretty much whatever you want build-wise, how you want to play, and how you want to take the action to the captains and war chiefs. And so, this time around, the captains and war chiefs became a lot more beefed up, if not literally, then figuratively, because the mechanics that they have this time range from being able to instantly kill them, or are resistant to most, if not everything, except for one thing, forcing you to adapt your playstyle to kill them with that one thing. For example, you can get a captain or war chief that's immune to arrows, executions, poison, and fire, but not curse, normal attacks, frost, or the glaive. So you can incorporate your fight style to include those things to be able to kill the captain. The captains also have the ability to adapt to what you do, and you can adapt right back to them. If they change up how they fight, you adapt to it. If they adapt to your frost, you adapt to them adapting to you. It's an adaptception, but it's also fun, and it creates a loop of gameplay of you wanting to fight more of these captains, more of these war chiefs, to see if they fight any different or if you want them in your army based on how they fight. Additionally, there are so many different attributes from the tribes and or just classes that they belong to that also incorporates into their own gameplay, such as flying axes and say crossbow master, or because they're from a beastmaster tribe, they get beasts. There's a lot, and I mean a lot of them. Thankfully, something like a captain being immune to almost everything is rare, but they are generally immune to something and can adapt, so adapting yourself is kind of required. So you've suffered through a majority of getting your captains, weapons, armor, gems, passives, building up your ability tree and whatnot. What do? You siege. But before you do that, you can take down enemy war chiefs to disable defenses on the fortresses you are going to siege. But you siege. This is where everything comes to fruition. You've got your captains with all their upgrades and you're ready to go. And to be frank, it kind of actually feels like a war. All of your captains and their soldiers sieging the fortresses with you at the lead, capturing points and killing all the war chiefs you left behind. And hence the game's called Shadow of War. Haha, kill me. After capturing all the points, you face the overlord of the fortress. And no matter how personal they are to you, you kill them and take over the fort. Then you appoint who you want to be overlord for the region, then you appoint the war chiefs, and you make the defenses for your fortress however you want it to be, based on what you want to do with it. That's about it. You've got collectibles, you've got other side missions, and all they give is a gem or money to upgrade your defenses, but pretty much that's all you gotta do to beat the story. Well, your story. And Talion's. So Shadow of War takes place directly after Shadow of Mordor, with Talion and Celebrimbor making a new ring of power. Then Celebrimbor gets abducted by Shelob, who in JRR novels is just a spider, an evil spider, and here she's a woman. Cool. Anyway, we give the ring to her in exchange for Celebrimbor. Shelob sees the future and gives that vision to Talion as well. That vision being of Minas Ithil, the last bastion between Gondor and Mordor, being raided by Sauron's army, and our main goal there is the Palantir. However, Talion and Celebrimbor have an argument, and Talion wins the argument, so he gets to help out his people too. Teaming up with Idril and Baranor, we protect the city, whilst also going to Shelob for future smoke to find out about a traitor. That traitor ends up being Castamir, the general of Minas Ithil, giving the Palantir to the Nazgul, betraying Gondor and giving even more power to Sauron. Escaping from the now all-powerful Nazgul with the Palantir, we encounter the Witch King, who tries to dominate us, but we are saved by Eltariel. She's important, but not right now. Now that the Witch King has given the Palantir to Sauron, he's able to see where the ring is, so he sends his forces to Shelob. We go help Shelob, she gives us the ring back, and we get more future smoke. This future smoke allows us to see that we win against Sauron. So, undoubtedly, we now start our rise to power in Nurnen, escaping the Witch King's Nazgul. Starting off with Bruce, he gives us the rundown on how to run an army and take over fortresses. So we do the thing, capturing the points and getting to the Overlord, who turns out to be none other than Ratbag and Ranger, which we are also called, in which we all probably shared the same question as Talion at that point as well. After that, we are given the choice of who we want to assign Overlord of the region and are free to choose which region we want to conquer next. Alright. Pause. So from here, there are 3 separate stories, and for the sake of continuity, I will be telling them in CARNEN, Gondorian, and Bruise. They're not required to beat the main game, but they're kind of essential to get other skills. However, I'm only going to tell them because I really like them, and it gives a sort of existential feel once you complete them. However, if you don't really care about it, you can skip to here, and I can go off on a pretentious rant, or you can skip to here, which is the rest of the main story. Anyway, we'll move on. After the fall of Minas Ithil and being transformed to Minas Morgul, we find Baranor looking for his fellow Gondorians in Saragoth, more specifically Idril, to escape to the west to survive. After saving more Gondorians, we find out that Idril is alive and in a certain direction. Baranor finds the location and we assist him in the fight pit, saving more Gondorians as Idril appears and assists as well. She states that she can't leave Mordor until every one of her brothers are free, and she leaves. Following that, we meet up with Idril and assist her in getting an artifact and seeing that she is steadfast in her conviction of staying in Mordor against Baranor's request. Also at Baranor's request, we help him save more Gondorians, but he gets captured and taken to Gorgoroth. Arriving at Gorgoroth, we save more Gondorians and Baranor with the help of Idril. At that point, the questline ends, with Idril and Baranor staying in Mordor. As Baranor says, they will be doomed together. With no words to Talion, Baranor sets off to his DLC. Now, instead of a story about humans losing their home, we have nature with CARNEN, enticing us to meet her when we first entered Nurnen, ignored it, but now we're going to see her. Defeating her as a drake, she pulls us into her lair and then explains that because we did a thing, this thing was awoken and we need to kill it or everything dies. To be frank, this questline starts as number 1, save a kitten. Number 2, save the dog. Lastly, kill God. Moving on, we go to Gorgoroth, where we meet Zog the Eternal, who is summoning the thing that we awoke apparently, and he succeeds, runs away, and we have to fight it now. CARNEN helps us in fighting off Targoroth, which is the thing that we apparently summoned, by the way. Then we travel to Saragoth, following its trail to run away and or lead it to this open area where we fight it with CARNEN's help again. Although this time, CARNEN quote-unquote sacrifices herself to kill it. And at this point, it's basically fuck this questline and its only redeeming quality is Zog, since he basically drove everything to happen. Because we go to talk to CARNEN, and all we talk about is none other than Zog, who's raising Uduks from the dead to make his own undead army. CARNEN's forest burns, she dies after talking her ears off because she sacrificed so much, then Zog is raising Targorgoroth again. Trudging back to Saragoth, we confront him and kill him. Then, when we go back to Minas Morgul, he is risen from the dead alongside 5 other war chiefs and captains that we have fought before. After killing all 5, we fight Zog again, killing him again. Then CARNEN returns and just says some bullshit, and I just hate this questline. It's kind of just stupid. Mostly because only 2 things happen. Targoroth, made out to be this terror on Mordor, is not really shown to be a terror on Mordor, only dying after 3 quests. CARNEN, being hyped up to be this all-powerful creature, dies from her quote-unquote sacrifice. And then you can do this to Zog. This video is gonna be really shit quality, also there's a lot of other background noise, but I'm recording for Shadow of War, and I've been sitting here letting Mr. Zog get looped over and over again on this because he killed me, and then since he's enraged by pain and my followers keep hitting him over and over again, it's yeah, you just see what's going on here. I mean, you'll probably see in the video too, but I mean, yeah, like his health is going down. I wasn't shaky. Very slowly, though. And I mean, hey, it's a free win. I don't do anything. I just play my mobile game, Kingdom Hearts. I like it. Also, you can see all my fingerprints on this thing. Oh, God. Anyway, yeah, Zog. He's a bitch. Oh, he's broken, but he's not, because he's enraged. That's fun. Anyway. Yeah. This entire questline is, can I just get my summon Drake now so I can move on? And speaking of moving on, from a shit quest line to a better set of quests, Bruise is great. He helps you out, shows you how armies in Mordor work, defends your fort, then stabs you in the back and flings you off the ledge of your own fortress. And yes, I'm going to use it. In light of this, we encounter Ratbag again, who actually helps us in this game compared to Shadow of Mordor. Ratbag lets us know that some of our captains and possibly our overlord was taken prisoner by Bruise. We rescue them and Ratbag tries to leave, but since he was the original overlord, we ask him to show us our escape tunnel. And I say ask when I mean threaten. We go into his escape tunnel and we beat the ever-living shit out of Bruise to get our fortress back, receiving this ever so graceful face as a reward. Returning to Ratbag, he tells us that Bruise has captured a ranger. And to be fair to the CARNEN quests, the rest of these end up being, let's chase Bruise across the 3 continents until the end, each time mocking us and our captain and our army every time, resulting in Talion and Celebrimbor getting angrier and angrier and wanting to use Bruise as a message instead of just killing him. Ultimately, we find Ranger in Gorgoroth, freeing him to go humiliate Bruise. Facing off against Bruise, we finally get him to his knees and shame him, breaking his mind to the point where he only says, I don't want the fort. Ratbag and Ranger leave us after seeing what we were capable of doing, and our moment of pride is broken slightly by Ranger, who, up to this point, has been speaking an entirely different language, and he says, we never hear from them again, and honestly it is sad because Ratbag is one of the better characters for Talion to interact with, but it was brief and great. Now, I said this earlier, and it gives a sort of existential feel once you complete them, and I truly feel this way. Each one of these says, I call them side quests, show some sort of facet of this concept. There will be more Gondorians fighting for survival in Mordor, more stories like Idril and Baranor, continuing on until all Gondorians are safe or wiped out, evident by how little Talion interacted with them besides talking and helping a little bit. Hell, the end of the Gondor questline, they don't say anything to him and he continues on his fight. Zog will forever be risen over and over again, trying to build his army, and Talion will forever be there to stop him. Lastly, Bruise isn't the only Olog that will betray Talion, but he is the first of many, and it would happen over and over again until Talion or the army of Sauron falls. But isn't that quite equivalent to us? We can't live forever, unlike Talion being banished from death, able to live forever and more. We have our own stories, like the Gondorians. Regardless of what happens, it will continue on with or without Talion. Because we will die after many hardships, with people, items, experience, or without them. Because time will go on, and many lives have been lived, and will continue on with or without us. With the end of that pretentious spout, we come back to Eltariel in Act 3 of Shadow of War, along with the epilogue, but we'll get to that later. For now, it's focusing on Eltariel, and I fucking hate it. Remember a while ago when we first encountered her saving us from the Nazgul? Well, we go and help her in the hunt of Nazguls. Her mission is to kill them over and over and over and over again, because just like us, the Nazgul are practically banished from death. Throughout all of it, Eltariel repeatedly casts doubt on the new ring that the two have made. And in returning to Minas Morgul after learning about Udux being turned into the Chosen, that goes nowhere except for one thing about the Hydir, aka the fast travel points, are the spy cams from Payday 2. Then we help Eltariel hunt Suladan, a man who led his army against Sauron only to be offered a ring of power, then corrupted by it. This in turn tells us how Sauron have the Nazgul and Witch King under his belt. Furthermore, learning how the rings of power came to be and why Eltariel distrusts the new ring. From there, we head back to Saragoth, where Helm Hammerhead is attacking the fortresses we captured with an army of ghouls. Our overlord assists us in this defense as we attack him. He almost kills us and escapes as Eltariel rescues us, leading to us teaming up to hunt him down. Fighting Helm Hammerhead, we defeat him, and in all honesty, I'd be doing this a disservice for recapping it, so have the whole cutscene, and if you don't care, editing me here. 3 minutes. So I lost all the audio to my Shadow of War footage because I cloned my HDD to an SDD, and I'm using that, and all the audio just got kerchumpled. So if you want to watch this cutscene, there's a video here by a person that I don't know how to say their name, and it's at around the 2-hour and 5-minute mark, so if you want to watch that, go ahead. This is going to happen 2 more times as well, because looking ahead, I have 2 more times where I stop and say, watch this, and there's nothing because I lost all the audio. Anyway, we'll move on. After that amount of sadness and more bridges between Talion and Celebrimbor, we investigate more Nazgul trickery with Eltariel and Gorgoroth, headed by Isildur. Isildur, raising Gondorians as wraiths to help him fight, gets an intriguing quote from Talion, but I digress. Isildur flees and leaves the Wrath of Castamir in his place. So, we defeat the Wrath of Castamir, and that's the end of that. By this point, you are either capturing all the forts or already have them captured, to be able to move on to Act 3 where there is no turning back. The final battle in Barador commences as Isildur stands in our way as the last bastion between the three and Sauron. We defeat him and bring him to his knees, learning of his past of cutting off Sauron's finger to obtain the ring, eventually being corrupted by it, losing it, and is killed, just to be brought back by Sauron to serve in his army. Then Celebrimbor is able to dominate him, freeing him of Sauron's hold and losing the ring, but Talion, realizing what Celebrimbor is doing, kills Isildur. This causing the final straw between all their disagreements in this franchise. Celebrimbor then comes clean, stating that he will dominate Sauron. Eltariel agrees with Celebrimbor in the whole matter, and then this pursues. Yep, here it is again. Go watch it. 225, the same video, person I can't pronounce their name because I really don't know how, so watch it. Shelob arrives in spider form, telling Talion that the future she gave him hasn't come to pass, because Talion saw through what Celebrimbor truly wanted, the rule of all Middle-earth. Therefore, the future was prevented, but not the rule of another. Shelob tells Talion that his war hasn't ended because no matter who rules Mordor, they won't stop until all of Middle-earth is theirs. In light of this, Talion gives up even more of himself and puts on the fallen ring of Isildur. And this part I just personally love. At this point, I believe you get it. Here's the timestamp. Go watch it if you want. I recommend it. It's my favorite cutscene. Arriving to Minas Morgul, we see what Talion has become, using the exact same power that Isildur had to take back control of the region. Reaching the chamber of the Palantir, the Witch King faces Talion with the help of his 5 Nazgul buddies for control and to hopefully finally convince Talion to join them. Talion succeeds in taking back Minas Morgul, and with that victory, he uses the Palantir to see what becomes of Celebrimbor and Eltariel. And since I hate both of these fucking characters, here's the TLDR. Shelob was right. Eltariel gets her fingers with the ring cut off, Sauron and Celebrimbor fuse into one being forever to watch over Mordor, and Eltariel fucks off picking up the ring. However, this isn't the end of Talion. This is the beginning of a long set of wars to prevent any force to leave Mordor and threaten the world of men. This is the start of his endless shadow war. To take a break from all of that story, I absolutely love this part of the game, story and implication-wise, not gameplay-wise. Gameplay-wise, it's, kind of an atrocity, to be honest, because I get what they were going for. To have us feel just a small bit of what Talion goes through for decades in fighting against what is now the Lord of Mordor, having to defend, lose, gain, and replenish forces over and over again. But in execution, it's painful for us as the player. You have to defend all of your fortresses divided into 4 stages against higher level than your own captains and war chiefs. Defending off of memory Nurnen twice, Cirith Ungol once, Sargoth once, and Gorgoroth once. Now if you were to lose any of those, you have to regrind everything. Captains, upgrades, killing the war chiefs to get the defenses off the fortresses just to retake it and move on to the next stage. This, on the other hand, is after the update where you had to do this 20 times in 10 stages, which to me, whoever approved that, is insane. Although I do truly appreciate what they were going for, trying to have us actually experience what Talion does in 1 decade, if not more. Again, execution for the player is just a mundane, arduous grind for the true ending of the game. That ending being after 50 more years of Talion holding back Sauron's forces protecting Middle-earth all on his own, he finally fell to the ring's influence, joining the 9 Nazgul, replacing Isildur in service to Sauron. Although that happened, his selflessness in not going to his family on the shore let Middle-earth survive for longer. Until one day, Middle-earth was saved, and releasing Talion to finally find peace in death.
At least until it shows Celebrimbor escapes and this fucking thing exists.
Full disclosure, I've never played the DLCs, unlike in Shadow of Mordor. Therefore, all I can really talk about is the story and not the mechanics, so for the Baranor DLC, here are the new mechanics, aka I just went to the wiki and got a screenshot, and off to the story we go. Baranor, in search of mercenaries to help him in his cause, he almost fucking dies, but his unconscious body gets dragged to safety by none other than Torvin, who gets shafted with only 1 cutscene. Torvin gives Baranor a Numorian tool that allows him to grapple and parachute to glide. This in turn for him having no ring of power, which to me is pretty cool because people die when they are killed. Unless you're Talion. Moving on from here, he talks to the mercenaries for hire and finds out his brother from long ago is the leader. Taking up the mantle of Circa, he offers Baranor a price for him and his mercenaries for assistance. So he takes the deal, helps his brother with a couple things, saving him one time, and then goes after the fortress of Lithelad. Defeating the Overlord, they leave it empty and lay traps, ending with Baranor, Circa, and Torvin in Torvin's little abode, giving Baranor the name of Manbird. Although I didn't play it, the footage I've seen of it seems pretty cool to not be as overpowered as Talion with no ring of power, and working with humans only this time. But I'm pretty sure my favorite part is Baranor's shield because, well, I love Shield Hero, and that. Eltariel is a character I fucking hate. They gave her a DLC, so I told the chef that I hired to make a fucking recipe. And here it is.
Welcome to my kitchen. Today I'll be teaching you how to make fuck Eltariel, the recipe my boss told me to make. Now, knife, spat, wax paper, marshmallows, another one just in case fuck up, off-brand rice, butter, cup, mustache, 2 pants. Oh yes, and I almost forgot. Our secret ingredient. It we don't know about it until later. That's the shh time. Anyway, we start with a medium saucepan. And a mustache that doesn't want to fit. Start with the medium saucepan. We dump our butter into 3 teaspoons to be exact. Over low heat. However, that was the wrong burner I was about to turn on. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Nothing's gone wrong, only confidence in my kitchen. Nothing went wrong, only confidence in my kitchen. We don't need this at all. Alright, and now let this melt over low heat. So we wait. And we keep waiting. How long does it take to do it for? Taste test to make sure these are not bad. I want another. They are fresh. Time to check the butter. It is almost completely melted.
Show the crowd the butter. Show the crowd.
Show the crowd the butter. It's almost completely melted. So now we let it melt. Do I stir? Yes. But whilst we're waiting for the butter to melt, we can get our specific 1 foot by 1 foot by 2 inches deep by 18 inches long pan and put wax paper on it.
The internet's not wrong.
But that is complete, we can check on our butter again. Our butter? I honestly don't know if that means completely melted, and yes, I am a hired chef that went to culinary school. I will assume
It's not.
that it's not melted. Thank you, Kevin. Appreciate contribution to my misgivings. At least this doesn't take as long as editing. Right, future me? I believe that the butter is basically melted. Why are you looking at me?
That's good.
The camera didn't even look in there. You just looked in there. Time to add the entire bag of marsh. I'm now curious what does butter and marshmallows taste like. What? This doesn't want to cooperate. Oh, there's one on the burner. As I actually didn't say. These are the Udix.
Just ate the Udix.
I did just eat the Udix. They're really enough butter for all of us.
I mean, with the amount that they're missing, yeah.
You know, fair enough.
It's a bonk.
Think I could fill this a pillow up with this and just sleep on it? No, it smell like marshmallows until it rotted away. And then I'd eat the pillow even if it rotted. My hand hurts. But to avoid any more disturbance, turn the heat off. Because I believe that this is completely melted. So we remove it from the heat. Leave that, just that over there. We return to here where it's bubbly. And I believe this is complete. Remember, only confidence. Now, The next ingredient.
You gotta get the brand in there. It's not a brand.
Rice. Rice. 6 full cups. Excuse me. 6 full cups of rice.
Oh, that's on the burner.
4, 5, 6. Now I know why it's more Rice Krispie than marshmallow, because there's so little marshmallow in comparison to the amount of Rice Krispie. Alright. Anyway, now we mix this to well coated. I don't know if I'm... Actually, I do know if I'm doing this right, because only confidence. I was hired for this job from culinary school. How could I be wrong? Only confidence. Nice and coated. However, there is one last thing that in post I didn't analogize yet because I didn't say anything and now I'm thinking about it now. That this DLC lacks. It's not anything, but I think if we take a look over here. Not at the recipe that I definitely wasn't using because I have all of these memorized because only confidence. We have a secret ingredient. Might that be? Soy sauce. It's soy sauce. It's soy sauce. Perfect DLC ruined, according to my boss. With something that seems sweet, but mixed together with the rest of it, turns sour. I don't know if this is enough, however, we're just gonna keep going. And stir. Okay, it's already hard to stir. Complete. Almost. We're almost complete. Lay it on parchment paper. At least that's what I told. That's what I was told at culinary school. That you put parchment paper on the pan, and then it just works. So here we go. Oh, this is actually kind of depressing. It doesn't smell bad. It actually looks kind of good. Yeah. If you thought of it as just rice without marshmallows, bad. How dare you go over your allowance of food? I pay you with marshmallow for a reason.
I feel kind of good.
Are you joking?
No.
Is it actually kind of good?
Yeah, I feel kind of good.
If this turns out to be any sort of good, I'm patenting this recipe and it is mine. I'm naming it Fuck Altaria.
All confidence.
On confidence! So, as I've just been informed, we don't need this. We do this. We've molded it into this. Just imagine it's an entire DLC. This is the Altaria DLC. My boss just told me to say that because I don't know what the fuck this is. Up the parchment paper, then we push it down and fold it into here. However, because I didn't have sufficient amount of knowledge, you know, only confidence, no knowledge, only confidence, we can say
It's adequate.
it's like a strawberry. This is our result of the DLC. Now, once we let this cool, we can commence with the taste test.
So my chef has ever so gracefully cooked me Fuck Altaria here. I don't know if I want to eat it. I don't know if I'm going to regret eating it. However, I'm going to have to eat it. Just to suffer through the DLC I didn't play, but I know a lot about. I don't want to eat it.
I really don't want to eat it. I don't want to get my hands dirty too. Bon appetit. Kind of. You don't get the marshmallow. Kind of tastes like caramel popcorn, but not really. Like, if you were to take caramel popcorn, make it sweeter, it's kind of what it tastes like. It's burnt. The soy sauce makes it taste burnt. It doesn't invoke any gag reflex, but it's not something pleasant either. I mean, the pleasantries are there, you can taste it, but the soy sauce doesn't really add to it. Kind of just sours it, and I'd rather just have regular Rice Krispie treats. I guess it's kind of like the DLC, because like you have everything at the Rice Krispies with the marshmallows and butter that make the DLC good. You know, the base, the butter, and all the other stuff in it. And then you have the soy sauce, which is the fact that we play as a Teriel, and you know, she kind of killed Talion twice and betrayed him, and yeah, tried to redeem her. Like, the soy sauce tried to redeem it, but didn't really. It's not really something I like. Fuck out Teriel, the DLC. That's all I gotta say. Baba Daboo. Oh shit.
Now that that's over, as I was trying to say and they were very poorly relating it to, the Rice Krispies was supposed to be the base of the DLC. You had it there. The base game was already there. The butter, the marshmallows was added to it. The cool mechanics, like the Udukes being the marshmallows. There were cool, unique Udukes in Elteriel's DLC. The butter was the new mechanics that she was given with the light and stuff. Here's a screenshot of it now. But we're playing as Elteriel, a character that they kind of redeemed, as soy sauce didn't really destroy the DLC and or the Rice Krispies, but it didn't help it either. It was kind of just, all right, it's there. I can eat it. I'm not gonna vilely puke everywhere. So that's basically what the DLC is. It's decent, but then it has something that really doesn't help it or hinder. It's kind of just, you know, you tried. I still don't like the character. She fucking killed Talion. So that was the Elteriel DLC. Did I play it? No. I watched all the cutscenes, but I just did see the mechanics, and honestly, they're pretty neat and pretty cool if they were to make another game. Which, if they are, oh boy. Anyway, loot boxes. Now that I've discussed all that, the elephant in the room can be addressed. The loot boxes are gone, so I'd honestly give this game another chance. However, it's still a topic to address in general. Because whose bright idea was it to fucking put loot boxes in a single-player action game? What these loot boxes did was drop legendary captains, if you paid for them, and XP. They were kind of necessary at the time for the immense grind the game had. They lowered the amount of grind needed in the later patches, thank God, and outright removed loot boxes later. That's great and all, but they never should have been there in the first place, and understandably, people left because of that with a bad taste in their mouth. They're not there anymore, and I urge people to please retry this game. It's honestly great without all of the grind that it used to have, and the loot boxes are gone, so it's just a great game that I personally love. That's about it. I don't know what else to say except that I like the game. I love playing it. It's just fun to play. And since we don't really give the people who actually make the game enough credit, here are the people who made the game. And, well, they deserve a lot of recognition. Not for the stuff they did bad, but I mean, that is to be talked about. However, they made this game, and I thank them for it. I love it. It's one of my personal favorites. And I guess I could take this time to talk about a little personally me in this game, whilst the people who made it will scroll. However, it's not going to stay forever, so just play the game, buy it. The only reason why I got into this series in general was an E3 trailer for this game. I think it was E3 2016 for Shadow of War, and me and my friends were just sitting down watching it, and they said I should just watch or play Shadow of Mordor, and I did. I loved it. Bought it when it was like $3 on Xbox. Played it, beat it, loved it. And then Shadow of War came out. I didn't buy it immediately because I didn't have money, and I don't have money that much. And, well, I waited till it came on sale, bought it, and loved it then. And that was right after the loot boxes ended, so I just like it. And I can't thank my friends enough for introducing me to this game because, well, I like it a lot. It's one of my favorites. I don't know what else to say. I already explained in the whole video what this game good and what game about and what it do. It make you feel good. I like feel good when I play games. Therefore, game good. Kind of. There's some things to talk about. However, I hope that I actually get out of my laziness because I kind of want to do this more. And by this, I mean standing in front of my green screen and doing stuff and recording. It's actually kind of fun. I mean, I am already my own worst judge, but it's still kind of fun. And, I mean, I've got a lot of games, so I can talk about a lot of games. However, I don't want that to be the only thing I do, and I also don't know what else to do. But, regardless, if you've watched this video, thank you. I appreciate it. And I want every criticism levied on me. I want to be better. I want to get better. I want to be better, and I want to make my videos better. I got this working after 3 months of being lazy. So, like, if anything, just tell me what you liked, tell me what you didn't like. If you like something about it, I could focus on it more. If you didn't like something about it, tell me, and I can hopefully get better from it. So, with that, thank you for watching. Appreciate it. And I don't like shilling at all, so you know what to do if you want to.